I'm at the thrift store because Halloween is just around the corner and I'm making a Cinderella costume. But first, let's buy shoes. We have a winner. Hello. We got the shoes. They were only $2. And as you know, I'm making a Cinderella costume for my dog. So with the exception of the shoes, which were only $2, I'm not going to spend any money in the making of this costume. The goal is to make use of stuff I already have on hand because I have way more fabric than I really should have. So as an effort to try to, use it up. So let me tell you a little bit about what I'm going to do. When thinking over how I was going to make the costume, because to be honest, I'm really bad at just making my own patterns or something like that. Normally, I just find that I'm better at starting with existing patterns and then, making adjustments and things like that, and adapting them to the projects I'm trying to make. If you've seen some of my other videos, you might have noticed this, such as with this pattern. I bought it originally for a Queen of Hearts costume for my daughter, and it worked beautifully for her, as well as I actually used some of the same patterns for my Dormouse costume to go with the Queen of Hearts costume. Click if you want to see what I'm actually talking about. And I realized with some adjustments, yeah, it would work for Cinderella as well. So for those previous costumes, instead of using the existing pattern, I just traced it onto tissue paper so I could do all the adjustments, without ruining the original one. In this case, I literally just, because I already prepared the patterns to, to make it easier to get this thing going, I literally just took the traced tissue paper patterns I did for this Queen of Hearts costume and made adjustments to those instead, because I thought it would be a lot easier. The neckline has already been adjusted to sort of a heart shape, which will be perfect Cinderella, so I don't have to redo that. I did need to extend at the top basically, and as well as the back, right here, because it's going to have sort of like straps, which the original didn't. Most of the work was really for the bottom of the bodice, because and the original, like on the sides, I'm not sure if you can see, the sides hit about the hips, basically at the top of the hips. Whereas in the Cinderella costume, and every single one I've ever seen, image of Cinderella I've ever seen, the edge of the bodice goes to about the waist, and then from there, kind of goes down into almost like a point towards the front. So that took a bit of adjustments here and there to ignore on the different pattern pieces to get that effect. But which all this sounds a lot more complicated than it actually was. It was actually relatively easy. Anyway, and then after that, all I had to do for the skirt was pretty much add about 13 inches of extra length to the skirt panels, and that's about it. And the bigger problem, in a sense, was, okay, with the accessories, I mean, there's the headband that she wears, and that's going to be easy because I already have a headband form, and it's just a matter of covering it in the same fabric that I'll use for the dress, which I'll show you in a little bit. But she needed gloves, long gloves. I do not have any, but I've never really made regular gloves before with fingers. I made fingerless gloves. Those are really easy, but somehow that didn't seem fitting. So I looked though, and I came across a website where they have free patterns for long gloves, and so perfect, right? But I actually found the sizing a little confusing, and I printed out the size that I think will work, and have made some adjustments already to it. I probably have to make more to the gloves themselves when we get to that point, but I'm sure it'll work in the end. And is there anything else No, yeah, I guess that's about it, right? So let's get started. So here's our original pattern. Again. And my adjusted tissue paper ones for the bodice and the skirt. All ready to go. And here's for the gloves. And here's the fabric I intend to use for the gloves. It's actually a curtain panel I bought from Goodwill for another project that I never got around to using, but I think this is a better use for it. And for the dress, I want to use this. It's actually a blue bed sheet I bought from Goodwill for $1 a while back because I really like the color, but didn't know what to do with it, so finally found a use for it. And then this is actually leftover from a project my sister made. It's this really pretty sheer starry fabric. She didn't want it, and I knew I could find a use for it eventually. I finally did. And that will be useful for the dress as well. And then well, I looked through my stash to find, well, yeah, there's a headband form and some foam that I figured I'd use for the headband, but various trimmings in silver and white that I hope will go with the blue fabric. I have no idea whether I'll use any of these or all of them or what. We'll see when we get to that point. But before I do anything else, this fabric is definitely going to need to be ironed. Let's iron our fabric. Goodwill tag. Did I mention I hate ironing? Cut out the pattern pieces. Moving on to the bodice pieces. I'm doing something special with the very front of the bodice using this white fabric. You'll see that in a little bit. Lots of cutting. So I've got all the pieces for this dress as well as the very front of the bodice cut out. I also cut out some of the shiny fabric for the front. Thought that'll look pretty. And I've got the interfacing pieces cut out too, as well as for the gloves. Yeah, that took a while. So now I need to iron the interfacing onto the bodice pieces. Let's go do that. All ready to go. So before I assemble the pieces for the bodice, I want to base the sheer fabric onto the front so it doesn't shift around too much while I'm handling it. Almost finished. The bodice is looking pretty good so far. We still need to assemble the pieces for the lining. I'm going to have to pass the seams open in the back to add the boning. So I'll take care of that and the lining, and then we'll do the boning tomorrow. Bye. I'm ready to add the boning. This will probably take me all day. See how long I need the boning to go, and cut it to size. And trim the ends. And I have to do this for each and every seam. So now to sew the casing in place, and without forgetting to remove the boning. Yeah, I almost did, I admit. It took me all day, but all the boning pieces are in place. But I still have to sew it in the lining. So I'm going to pin on the lining and sew around, and then call it a day. Ta-da! We're doing accessories today. I'm going to take a break from the dress and get the accessories out of the way. First, the headband, as you can see. First, I need to prepare the foam. Trace around the headband form. And cut it out. That's all ready. Now we need the fabric. This is going to take a while. So now I just need to glue and tuck the fabric all around until it hopefully looks nice. And it's sort of done. Well, moving along. Now, I think Cinderella is supposed to be wearing like a black choker necklace in the movies and stuff, but my daughter prefers lace. So we're using the stretchy lace to make a sort of choker and Velcro to make it easy. Lots of gluing. Now we've got the easy stuff out of the way. It's time for the hard stuff. I'm going to have to prepare the pieces for the gloves. Oh boy. So I'm going to start with the thumbs and baste them all around. So the first one's basted. And so let's turn it right side out and see how it sort of came out. how it looks. That's a bit roomy. So I'm going to have to trim it a bit. Now to trim the other one to match the first one. I hope this isn't as boring as it seems to me. Those are ready to be rebasted. Now I have to repeat all these steps on every single finger of the gloves. This is going to take me the rest of the day, isn't it? You're not going to want to spend the next 3 hours watching me do this, so see you tomorrow. So I have the gloves all basted and ready to go on the sewing machine. I'm going to zigzag stitch around and hope that will help keep the fabric from unraveling, because it does unravel pretty easily. And here we are. All the seams have been sewn. It needs to be turned out right side out. Here's the first one I already did. And I have to admit the fingers look a little funny, but I think those will work okay. The worst part was doing the thumbs. But now that's out of the way, we can move on. So now I'm going to devote the rest of the day to disassembling the skirt. It's relatively easy. It's just the 3 panels that are sewn together for the skirt itself. And then the yoke added later. So I've got the panels sewed together. I left a little open at the back to accommodate the zipper that will be added later. Now to assemble the yoke. This will only take a couple of minutes. Okay, the yoke's completed, and now we're up to the hard part of the skirt. Gathering. I don't like to gather the usual way. Like sewing through the fabric and then just pulling threads. I actually prefer to do it completely by hand. Basically using lots and lots of pins. I know, I'm crazy. The downside is it means sewing it with the pins still on. Kids, don't try this at home. And there we are. Now, after removing all the pins, I'm going to have to figure out where to attach it to the bodice, which means having my daughter try on the pieces so far, but she always told me in advance she doesn't want to do that on camera. So I'll go do that, and I'll be back in a moment. See ya. Okay, so I have the skirt pinned in place on the bodice, and while I got my daughter trying the things on, I also took that opportunity to do the straps. I just cut the strips from it's actually the top hem of the sheet I used, and then, well, pin them in place. So now, before I do anything else, I need to paste the zipper in place, so they'll be all ready to sew in tomorrow. So I'll do that and then call it a day. See you tomorrow. Looking pretty good so far. I've got the zipper basted in place and ready to be sewn. But before I do that, I need to work on the poofs and the sleeves and the poof things that go on the side of the skirts. I don't know what you call them, I forget. And then there's some trimming that needs to be done on the front. I'm still trying to figure out what to do about that. But first, the poofs. So I cut out some templates to use for the sleeve things, as well as one for the big poof things. It's basically just a half circle measuring about 19 by 13 inches, I think it was. And so I'm going to cut out circles out of the sheer fabric, starry fabric, like I said, but also I'm going to back those with some of the fabric for the gloves, because I thought that might look pretty layered together like that. I'm probably going to have a bit of a hard time cutting these out because, well, because the starry fabric is kind of, well, slippery. Anyway, let's get started. Stay stay in place. That took so long. I knew this fabric would be easier than the other one. Almost finished. Okay, I have the poofs all ready to go, pinned together on the sewing machine, and now we just need to sew them up, as well as the sleeves. And there we are, sleeves and poofs sewed and turned and ready to go. So for the sleeve poofs, I left the side of the straps open because I figured it'd be so that I can just tuck the edge of the sleeves in and sew it after I, figure out how to gather it best to look right. So that should be really easy to do. And then for the skirt, pretty much the same thing. Just kind of tuck it underneath the edge of the bodice and sew it in place. But before doing that, I still need to decorate the front a little bit. So my thought was to use this wide ribbon on either side of the bodice like so. And I think that will look, I still want to do that. And then there was a thought about using this ribbon at the top, but I'm afraid that might be overdoing it a bit. Plus, I wanted to use that ribbon for the shoes too, possibly. And I want to make sure there's enough for that. Yeah, I think I'll just go with the wide ribbon. So after that and sewing on the poofs, that's pretty much all I have to do left, and then it'll be done. So pretty much that's all I have left to do. So for your viewing entertainment, you get to skip all that and just go to the end. And here we go. I know we didn't do the hair. My daughter wanted to wait till Halloween to actually do the, updo. But I think the costume came out pretty well. There was actually this adorable little girl that saw my daughter from a distance and then started yelling, "Look, I see a Cinderella! Hi, Cinderella! Look, it's the Cinderella!" So that alone tells me this costume was a success. But anyway, in addition to Halloween coming up, my birthday is actually coming up. So I thought, in honor of that, I'll do my first giveaway. And I know this is going to sound strange, but basically the first person who can guess my actual age in the comments will get this. The teapot bag from my dormouse costume. It completely stitched by hand, by me. It took hours. Good luck. Thank you for watching, and happy Halloween, everybody. Bye!